Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Roma Press live stream. Thank you for being here with me on this very eventful evening and a very positive one. I am pretty sure that most of us are ecstatic or at least pleased with the way things turned out earlier tonight as Roma complete a comeback win against Lecce. So, thank you for taking the time out of your day to follow this live stream. Thank you also from the bottom of my heart on John in John's name as well for allowing us to reach a really significant milestone, 1,000 subscribers, and in 2 months that we've been active on YouTube. That is huge for us, and that would not have happened without your support and without you following these live streams as well. This is very important to me. So thank you so much. We got Sylv. Thank you, Sylv, for this for your congratulations. We got Duncan from Gary, Indiana, in the house. Oh yeah, absolutely. We got Michael asking, Mihao asking, who else has a headache after this game? I think a lot of us were very split on how to feel about tonight's result, and we can get into that. I'm fresh off recording the episode that will drop tomorrow with John, so watch this space right here tomorrow. Roma always provides the fans with drama. That's what we touched upon, and that's what we can also discuss. An unlikely 3 points, says Anthony. Absolutely. Roma supporter, congratulations with 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. And with Roma's win today, it's a good day after thinking it was the worst for a while if we lost. Well, and for a while, they had us going there. For a while, I am pretty sure that a lot of people would have, would have committed some heinous crimes had Roma dropped a log. Um, it seemed like they were on the way to deliver another stinker. But as always, we said it with John, Roma provide the most thrilling screenplays. So after the predictability of the match against Inter, where more or less, I think the majority of us expected, not much in terms of results facing a really strong Inter side. Tonight, Roma flipped the script in a game that should have been straightforward. It was anything but. We got Alex from Accra, Ghana. Thank you so much for following us, Alex. Thank you to all of our patrons who are following us as well. If you want early access to episodes, if you want access to extra episodes of the podcast, if you want other benefits, you can join us by going to patreon.com/Roma Press, and you can help support the show, and it really means a lot. How loud did you scream when Lukaku scored? I think and I said this on the podcast as well, is I felt there was a huge similarity between how tonight's game went and how the match Roma Genoa went in 2017 on Totti's last match for the club, when Roma were expected to beat with ease a pretty terrible Genoa team. And it turned out to be a very, very difficult game in the end, saved by a miraculous strike by Diego Perotti. Tonight as well, Roma were going into this match against Lecce with the mindset of, we have to get back to winning. We have the capabilities to win. We have Dybala back. We have Renato Sanchez back. We are facing a team that I think with Roberto D'Aversa has done well enough, but still a beatable side. And Roma's performance for 90 minutes was underwhelming, to say the least. So that is why that culmination, that incredible wave of excitement that followed, that started with Sardar Azmoun's goal, and I'm gonna talk about him later on because he deserves some credit and some minutes. But it culminated all in that eruption of joy with Lukaku, and I think it really says a lot when Mourinho goes out of his way to pay credit to the fans who supported the team. Mourinho was in complete awe of the way the fans supported the team even when they were losing. He couldn't wrap his head around the fact that this crowd was cheering this team on, despite that terrible performance to begin with. Another thriller match would be boring otherwise. Who wants an easy win, anyways? Yes, that I think the people that have heart palpitations, I think those people want easier, more predictable performances. Christian from San Diego. Wow. Well, then at least it worked out for the West Coast. I think it's a pretty good hour for you. So we may be missing our good listeners from Australia and Singapore and so on, but we can compensate by welcoming our fans from the West Coast. Hello, Andy. Hello, Abdullah. I'm off to bed, but wanted to ask who's better, Sardar or Prime Torres? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I will have to go with Sardar. 4 minutes repaid 90 minutes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? To hell with it. To hell with it, because I've seen all kinds of things, and I will not take these results for granted. I will not take these feelings for granted. With Roma, anything is but granted. Okay, so enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say with regards to how you're supposed to be feeling about it, because I know that people will expect me to go into the details and analyze and be unhappy with how the match was setting up to be. But all I can say to you is embrace that joy that you felt in the final 4 minutes. That's it, guys. There's 49 of us. I'm really happy that we got a major turnout, so there's a lot of positivity, and obviously people are drawn to it. But I only count 15 likes, so I need more likes. I need people to smash the like button so we can get into the algorithm, so we can get more people to watch. So if you can, click the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. This is where you find all the live streams and where you find all the video podcast episodes. So the next one will drop tomorrow. So watch this space. Andy, I feel sick. This team will kill me. Well, Alex, tell me about it. I've been forcing myself to come on here and try to make sense of it for 5 years with John. We looked at each other today before recording, and we kind of were like, the veterans from a war, looking at each other like, yeah, another one of those days, and John had, because John looks over the whole technical side of the website. He does the thumbnails, the logos, the images. So he had prepared all of the images for that 1-0 loss, and then he had to rechange everything. And thankfully, in this time around, it was for good. It was for the better. It was not the other way around. That would have been painful. Tonight, yes, we suffered for 89 minutes. But Roma have this thing of making it worth your time. In the end, despite all the suffering, they make it worth your time. From agony to ecstasy in 5 minutes. Yes. Isn't that Roma's entire history? Like the highs and lows, the discrepancy is huge, but the distance between the highs and the lows is so minimal. Everything can happen within 2 minutes with Roma. Everything, the whole fate of the team, the entire trajectory of the season can change. That's terrible and fantastic at the same time, if you know what I mean. I love how Azmoun didn't turn out to be another Shomurodov. Okay, well, I think Sardar Azmoun deserves a lot of credit for how each time he came on, even in previous games, he always played like he believed in a result. And tonight is the proof that he is a player who will do anything for you. After the game, he even went as far as saying, I love Roma. I love this city. I love this team. This is where my kid was born. So he's already, pulling those quotes that Edin Dzeko used to pull out after 5 years at Roma. He's already saying those things after 3 months in the capital. And I always, with Azmoun, I always have the sense that this is a guy whose effort cannot be questioned. So in previous games, even against Monza, we remember the Monza match feels a bit stagnant, feels a bit stale. He comes on and he's just a breath of fresh air, and he's doing all the right things. Doesn't score just because of bad luck. Tonight, that header, magnificent. And whose assist it was? I'm pretty sure Oleg is here. Yes, Alexander Kopka. I'm looking at you, man. You and I, the Zaleski critics, we have to eat our crow. Yeah. Tonight, Zaleski gets his second assist in I think 79 games for Roma. So, um, it was Monza game 2.0, although I think it's even more impressive, honestly, because here you go down. Here it's looking bad. So substitutions gave us hope for a comeback and also saved Mourinho. You can say that tonight's performance was so bad that some consideration should have been made as to what this team can really do this season, right? Like, had this team lost, we would have probably came on here and discussed, well, are we good enough to do this, to do that? Instead, they trick us. They trick us and they make us believe, and they keep us hanging. They keep us hooked. It's like an addiction. Unfortunately, it really is. That's the whole point of a team that is notorious for not delivering, for having pretty much a losing mentality throughout most of its history, and yet they keep you hooked. We got, could you hear me screaming all the way from Indiana? Yes, I did. I even, I was passing through Indiana by train in the spring, and I think I could already hear you screaming then. It was in the morning, though. It was a pretty frosty morning in March. So I don't know if that was you or if that was another desperate Roma fan in Indiana. This is the kind of game that galvanizes a team, makes them better equipped, tough out closeout games in the future. And we talked about this on the pod today. I said that I think a result like tonight really gives you so much energy that a team that is wise and knows how to analyze its own mistakes will take this game and tear it apart in the video room. They have to go in there and attack their own performance throughout those 90 minutes and then take out the whole juice of that conclusion. Because what you showed for 88 minutes was so underwhelming, so poor, so horrendous from a technical standpoint that it should tell you all you need to know about what you should not do in the future. And at the same time, those last 4 minutes, they tap into something so essential to the team and to the success of this team if they want to achieve the objectives that they really want to. It taps into that spirit that I've mentioned so many times, that this team under Mourinho has developed something where they fight. They fight in the unlikeliest situations. They fight. So even when you're about to turn off your TV, they do something that keeps you glued to the screen. So it's not even about Roma in general. It's about specifically this Roma. Good evening, Andy, Carlos, our good patron. I have a question for you. What do you enjoy better? A win by 3 to 4 goals like Roma have done lately, or a dramatic win with all the suffering like today? That's a good question. I think a win like today gives you so much more in terms of well, first of all, the how many goals you score for me matters only relatively to the kind of opponent that you face, right? I think tonight's result does wonders for me as opposed to the match against Empoli, which I think was good, but could have fooled us. And I think tonight's result does not fool us to that extent. I think tonight's result is pretty truthful to the kind of team we're talking about. The team that we're talking about, the team that we have in front of us, the Roma team that we have this season is closer to the one we saw today, in the good and the bad, than the one we saw against Empoli. What do you think about the Smalling situation? I think it sucks. I said it on the last episode. I think this is a major problem for Roma. Mourinho just said in his post-match press conference that he has no updates for Smalling, that Spinazzola and Pellegrini should be back with the team for the derby. He expects them to be back shortly, whereas Smalling, he has no idea. So it's a pretty concerning situation. Richard, it's a win, but we didn't deserve the win. Ouch. We looked flat and couldn't figure out what the hell we're doing on the pitch. San, he was terrible. I don't know who San is, but I will tell you what John always says and what he said earlier tonight to me. There is no asterisk to a result. You don't go in the history books and you're going to go back. You're not going to see this game and see the 2-1 scoreline and read, oh, this was a bad performance by Roma. They won undeservedly. No, you will see Roma won against Lecce in the final minutes. They made a comeback. Like that has to be your mentality. That has to be the mentality of the team going forward. It has to be. It has to be. It cannot be, oh, we just got lucky. No, no, no. If you approach it like that, then you haven't learned a single thing about tonight. Tonight, you win it, not because you got lucky, but because the team believed in it, because Zaleski got a good shot off. He got a good cross across to Sardar Azmoun. Sardar Azmoun came on as a wonderful substitute. He did all the right things. In the final minutes, you are playing with Belotti as a fullback. And Romelu Lukaku redeems himself with a wonderful turn, so physically imposing, so devastating, wonderful. And I said it to John, like I was like, see, this is the beauty of football, because I would have expected Romelu Lukaku to get emotional after the loss against Inter. After all, he goes back to the San Siro, he gets this pretty awful welcome from the local supporters. He has booed and whistled. He doesn't touch a single ball all night long. He has a pretty non-existent performance. I would expect him to get emotional then. Instead, he gets emotional today, probably because of how much frustration he felt at that missed penalty. And tonight's goal, it's a liberation, not only for him but for the whole team, because it proves once again that there is something, and you have to be aware that you're not crap. There is not, and it's not only the fighting spirit, it's much more than that. Wow, we got a lot of comments, guys. There's 77 of us. I think this is probably the best number of people that we've had since Romelu Lukaku signed with us. So 77 people, but only 35 likes. You know what to do. Click on the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. This is where we do the live streams. And this is where we release the video episodes of the podcast for Roma Press. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. If you're new to Roma Press, this is where you get all the news and all the good things and the bad things about Roma. If you would like to support the show or the website romapress.net, you can do so by going to patreon.com/romapress, and you can support the show, and that helps us. Dybala should have taken the penalty. Well, Romelu Lukaku was perfect in terms of penalties until tonight. And what's more Roma than your best penalty taker going up and missing the penalty, with Vladimiro Falcone becoming the first Serie A goalkeeper to save a penalty on Lukaku. Classic Roma. In a time of need, the best penalty taker misses. Kind of reminded me of how Diego Perotti was perfect and then started missing one after the other. There you are with your negativity. Absolutely not, man. But we have to recognize that there was there was a lot of crap in the first 80 minutes or so. It wasn't a totally satisfying performance. But you're not gonna find me sitting here being negative after winning in the way we did. So yeah, Lukaku ended up saving the day, and I think that's where the emotion came from. It was that this pent-up anger about not having been able to turn things around for Roma, seeing Roma go down, and then finally being able to, to pull through it. 3 a.m. in India here, but still awake to listen to you, man. Sardar, that means a lot to. That means more than anything, when you guys take the time out of your sleep schedule. I mean, thank you so much. Really, I really appreciate it. So thank you. I wish Azmoun was on the Europa League list. I only want to focus on the derby now. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Azmoun doesn't have too many chances to play. He's not on Roma's UEFA list because of those financial fair play restrictions, and that's unfortunate because otherwise, I think he's a player who deserves the minutes. but with the likes of Romelu Lukaku and Paulo Dybala up front, and then obviously Andrea Belotti also there, we might have to get used to seeing him play these cameos. But if the attitude is there, if that's the spirit that he plays with time and time again, that I'm all for it. We got Anthony. Just wait for the book to come out. 90 minutes of misery, 4 minutes of ecstasy. Yes, that's the title of my next book. Falcone was absolutely brilliant tonight. I hope he can become a Roma player in the summer. And I just published an interview that he did with the media after the game. He said he would love to play for Roma. That it's his childhood dream. So, see, that's the kind of thing that I mentioned. If Roma go for a goalkeeper, they're going to go for a Serie A goalkeeper. If you go for a Serie A goalkeeper, you have to make use of your best relations in the league. And Roma have very good relations with Lecce. They sent Faticanti, their Primavera midfielder, there recently. They have good relations with Corvino. Thiago Pinto is on excellent terms with him. And then you have to factor in exactly Falcone's wish to play for the club. This is a guy that I think if Roma even slightly approach him in the coming months, he's going to say yes, like no questions asked. Was nice to see Zaleski get the cross in. Tough week for him, absolutely, but the cross was pitch perfect. I can't stress enough how beautiful that ball was, and that header was so powerful, so accurate. Fantastic. Falcone is a Roman and a Roma supporter. Yes, he's a huge Roma supporter. He dropped everything right now to just come and play for us for free. I'm pretty sure of that. One thing about this team, they never give up. Yes, with Mourinho especially, they've built like this kind of like a Teflon mentality. It doesn't matter what happened. And that's why the loss against Genoa was so devastating, not only to us fans, but also to the team. That's why Mourinho has referenced it so often in his media appearances. The loss against Genoa showed a team that was the opposite of what we'd gotten used to seeing from Mourinho's side. Tonight was the definition of it, at all costs. No matter how bad you've been playing, you can still turn this around, and you do. The team wants to give me a heart attack at 23. Yes, well, Milos, get used to it. It's rough. It's rough. I've been told by a lot of our patrons that who are in disbelief at the amount of hair I have, despite being a Roma supporter, because usually that the supporting Roma tends to lead to hair loss pretty early on. I know that some of our patrons can attest to that. Has anyone gotten injured in today's game? I don't think so. I don't want to check. Please don't make me do that. No, Mourinho has been fairly positive in his post-match appearance. He said good things about Dybala. He said he tried to get Dybala to agree and not go with the team to Prague this week. So Mourinho was trying to convince Dybala to stay in Rome and get some rest. But Dybala insisted. So Dybala will be traveling with the team to the Europa League this week against Prague for Roma, who are trying to finish first in the Europa League group stage. And Renato Sanchez also will be available. It was nice. Finally, these are important players. That's what I'm saying, is there is potential, and this team can get you excited. They can get you they can get you unexcited real quick. They do. They can. But then just like that, they got you hooked in. And yes, on the podcast, I did my terrible Pacino impression from Godfather Part 3, the famous one. Yes, they pull me back in. Yes, I did that. It was not good. This team makes me suffer as much as my Purdue Boilermaker in the NCAA tournament. Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. I comment on the NBA, but I'm not there yet. I'm not a big college person. I'm not a big March Madness fan. I don't follow that, but we can talk in NBA terms. What do you think about Elsha's performance? I'm seeing a lot of different opinions. I think Elsha is always a super sub off the bench, always. If you put him on the left wing to begin with, you're putting him there for a reason, which I imagine most of the time it's defensively, but clearly with Lecce it was different. It was supposed to be an offensive boost. I don't know. I still maintain that the guy is 31. He's past it, and he's never been a starter. The only time he was a starter for you, it was because Roma were having a terrible season, and that's all you could do. He was the only player you can rely on in a terrible moment. Right now, you have other players performing, you have other players scoring. He needs to come off the bench. Well done to Roma. Um, this team is a different team with Renato Sanchez. Azmoun, a really good player. I wish the coach plays him more in the league as Belotti has Europa. Yes, these are, it can be a consideration that Mourinho could make. The fact that Belotti can play in the Europa League, whereas Sardar Azmoun is not eligible. And I agree. This is a guy that needs the minutes, and he's shown you things. It's not like you're putting him out there just for the sake of having an additional attacker. He's delivering. Even when he wasn't scoring, he was still making his impact felt, and I think that's a huge positive for a team that needs players with minutes. It needs players with palpable output, because too many times we have players roaming around on the pitch, but with no idea what they really are doing, and with not a semblance of a structure. Whereas Azmoun injects life into this team. That whole energy, the way he scores, immediately grabs the ball, and you can tell this guy is already thinking about scoring the next one. That's all it is, and you need that. Otherwise, if he's not there, who's gonna do it? We got Lazio will be the real test, decide our future this season. Ooh, Fahad, wow, that's a big statement. I do agree it's very important. Because Roma then go into an international break. After the international break, they will have perhaps the most difficult not even perhaps the most difficult stretch of the season. You will face the likes of Atalanta, Napoli, Juventus in a very short amount of time. Then you will have the Coppa Italia against Cremonese. Hello. It is going to be a very, very difficult time. So these next two games against Slavia Praga and Lazio before the international break are an excellent preparation for it. Slavia Praga, you just need 1 point to finish first in the group. That's all you need. Okay, so the stakes are pretty low there. The derby, on the other hand, is an excellent opportunity. You're facing a team that has been just as inconsistent, if not more, than you this season, and the performance has to be there, because before heading into the international break, you have to show what you're capable of. Tonight was pivotal because of that, because you are also able to show that even when you have a bad night, you are still in a position to turn this around. You have the facilities, the capabilities to turn this around. Guys, there's 67 of us. Some people have dropped out. I can't blame them. If it's night, if it's day, whatever. I appreciate you being here with me. But we need more likes. I need more people hitting the like button. If you haven't clicked the like button, please do so now. We got Oleg saying, what is Oleg saying? I lost you in the comments. Oh, unfortunately, Zaleski was shitty. Yes, I always love when the Roma supporters do it. Whatever happens, you have the line of thought. You're going to follow through with it. He had literally one good contact with the ball. He also had 2 turnovers, which could have ended with a goal. It's his second assist in Serie A since Mourinho's arrival. Yes, that's what I said. 2 assists in 79 appearances. But I love that Oleg had a Zaleski cam. He had special notes for Zaleski. I'm very glad that we can count on Oleg for all the Zaleski breakdowns. Sanchez was horrific tonight. I was waiting for him to blow a hammy during the game. Oh, come on, Richard. That's not nice. Nah. A player who has been out for a month and a half, and you're bringing him on in really difficult moment. We gotta be easy on the guy. hate the way Mourinho sets up the teams, but I take this win with both hands. With both hands, yes. Well, yes, you can make an argument that the team really was. It just didn't feel like the team was facing Lecce. It felt like they were facing some kind of unattainable force. Um, but you also can't help but feel that those final minutes are all like that's signature Mourinho. The emotions behind it are also signature Mourinho. I and I agree. Part of it doesn't sit right with me to begin with, but then I'm just taken by by the feeling of utter relief and excitement of how the match is won. Congrats on 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, PC123. Thank you for following us always. One of the good ones. Thanks for the perspective, Andy. Yes, John is correct about this asterisk, but it was tough to watch for 90 minutes, but 5 minutes worth of ecstasy. Hey, man, it's like the Sergio Leone movies, you know? People love to hate them because of how long they are. Long westerns, 3.5 hours of watching Charles Bronson play a harmonica. But it all pays off in those instances where that silence and then that Ennio Morricone music comes together and you have one of the best gunfights in the history of cinema when Charles Bronson faces Henry Fonda. Tonight was a great night. Nearly gave up on the 89th minute. Samuel, I don't think you're the only one. Lukaku had an 87.5% conversion rate versus Dybala at 84%. Both are excellent penalty takers. I think Dybala was just not feeling it coming off an injury. What do we do with Kumbulla? Well, what do we have to do? First, let him get back on the pitch. Second of all, I don't think we should be like, we shouldn't be concerned about a defender coming back when Smalling is out indefinitely, you know? Everybody can make a difference in this team. That's the whole point of it, guys. It's not about the names. It's not about the transfers. You can like the transfer window. You cannot like. You can criticize Pinto. You can do this. You can do that. But the important thing, and the one thing that Mourinho knows, and he says it time and time again, he knows what the limits of this team are. He knows the limitations. He knows that Paulo Dybala and Renato Sanchez are here only because they were injured. They have a history of injuries. No other club wanted to take a chance on them. Roma did. But the truth is that because of these limitations, everybody is in a position to contribute. Even somebody like Sardar Azmoun, coming from an injury, coming from an unconvincing spell in Germany, he can come in here and make a difference in the limited amount of time. And that's the beauty of it, you know, through the bad, through the good and the bad. So Kumbulla coming back is not a problem in my book. Whatever the future may hold for him, we'll see. Please, somebody tell Mancini he's not a trequartista. His brain dead passing cost us the goal. Yeah, Mancini takes some risks, but I think also he's instructed to do that. Let's remember, Mancini is one of the better players with the ball at his feet in our back line. He was always called to do a little more than, say, Chris Smalling, right? So, Andy, Roma got better once the defender dropped. For Lazio, you go with 3 center backs or 2? Well, you know what Mourinho is going to do anyway, so I don't think he's going to change. I think it would be always interesting to see a change. I'm for, because really tonight felt like Roma were going over the limit, but then they switched things up. It was a welcome sight, and I think with Lazio, you're facing a team that is so uncertain of itself. Lazio are struggling offensively for the first time in years. Lazio are struggling, a team that was always up there in the league table in terms of goals scored with Ciro Immobile, Luis Alberto. This year they're not producing, and defensively they are shaky. So again, this derby comes, I think, at the perfect moment. Obviously, it really is up to Roma to interpret it the correct way, because last year Lazio had the advantage. Lazio approached the match better than Roma. And the derby is always the derby. It's a separate story. Although I wish Roma would just approach it as just another game. Um, Wow, guys, we are 54 likes. Need a little more. If you haven't clicked the like button, please do so now. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you want to get notified whenever we do these live streams, click the bell button and you'll get notified. We also drop each day the video version of the podcast on here. So the latest version, the latest episode will drop tomorrow, early afternoon Italian time. So Falcona forecast. Falcona needs to chill on the one to join Roma PR. Otherwise, he'll end up at Inter or at Falcone. Vladimiro Falcone. I thought our patron Falcona, Matt Falcona. No, Falcone needs to chill on the one to join Roma PR. Otherwise, he'll end up at Inter or Atalanta via West Ham. Yes, yes. You're referring to. You're alluding to Davide Frattesi and Gianluca Scamacca. If Falcone cost actual euros, there is no chance we get him. Well, Serie A has the advantage that nothing is nothing. Well, majority of deals are not made outright cash. A lot of it is just loans with obligations. Like Inter got Davide Frattesi, they got him on loan with obligation, and usually it's always based on the relations between the clubs. That's why I mentioned that Roma have excellent relations with Lecce. And if anything, they would make use of that. So Serie A is always, you do me a favor here, I do a favor to you there. Let's see. Carlos, sorry we had some bad moments, but also we had good ones and good chances to score. That another, yeah. Well, let's see. Like Dybala has a brilliant shot that just misses by a few inches. So any other day that goes in, and it's a shame. Dybala needs the goal. You can sense it. He's not happy with himself right now. Major shout out to Dybala for playing full 96 minutes today. Absolutely. Absolutely. A player who's missed that time, a player who's that fragile to play so much. And also, exactly, Mourinho says, I tried to convince him to not go with us to Prague. He wants to go. So we'll see if he plays on Thursday or if he gets some rest. Sanchez didn't have a strong performance since Anthony, but he needs some more minutes to get up to speed with the rest of the squad. Keeping him in the field is priority number one. Yes, keeping him in the field and also not putting any needless pressure on him. You can't, get on Sanchez's back and be like, you need to be, the difference maker for us. He is here for a reason. He's always been injured. and that takes a lot of you out of you in terms of confidence. Okay, we got Emmanuel. Only if Aouar can switch it up a little more, it's gonna ease the pressure on Dybala to always produce that killer assist to win games. Aouar is, yes, another player that I think is just, there is something holding him back there that I thought was gonna unlock once Pellegrini was out. Once Pellegrini was out, once Dybala was out, I thought Aouar was going to figure it out. Instead, he's sort of in no man's land. I think kind of his development has or rather not development because he's not young anymore, but his integration into the team has been a bit hindered by Bove's rise. Nobody, I think, expected Bove to play such a large role this season. Instead, he was really eating up the minutes. So Aouar, he said it himself, I need to play, but I also need to work on my mistakes. So I think the guy is fully aware that he's capable of much more, and I agree. He can be a really special player for Roma. There is something fundamentally wrong that Mourinho is doing. Okay. You first Tammy shines, then Dybala shines, Tammy struggles, Lukaku shines, Dybala struggles to score. His front line cannot shine together. Yeah, it's. I think it just really comes down to the kind of players that you have up front. When it was all about Tammy, it was all about Tammy, and Tammy benefited Pellegrini. Those two really worked well together. But as soon as you put Dybala up front, it changes the complexity of the game for Pellegrini, who became really ineffective, and it changed everything for Abraham, who was not the star of the show anymore. And now Dybala is a bit uncomfortable on the pitch, and yes, definitely needs the goal, needs to score. Who else held their breath every time Dybala hits the floor? Yes, well, it will really leave you with PTSD. The amount of times that he goes down, and you're like, are we losing him for the rest of the season? We'll wind up beating all the big teams and then losing the Coppa Italia game against Cremonese. Oh, amazing, Vincent! Already looking past our December schedule, which is really a nightmare. Like, I challenge anybody to go now, Google it. It's really the stuff of nightmares. The kind of teams that we face, and the hectic schedule of the trips that we have to make in that month of December. All I'm saying is, don't get your hopes up, and also try to have a pretty cheerful Christmas, because Roma, if you put all your faith for Christmas on Roma, you're gonna get disappointed. Well, Lukaku was shit the whole game as well, and then saved the day. Let's focus on bright side. Obviously, and I think Lukaku felt it more than anybody else. That's why he got so emotional. It's just that whole pressure from the poor start to the match, and then how it turned out for Roma. That penalty miss could have cost them, and instead he was able to turn things around. I said they should have sold Zaleski in the summer. People think that was crazy. Well, I think Roma were not looking to sell him. I think Mourinho was not looking to sell. Mourinho is very protective of Zaleski, and uh, we'll see how it goes. Really, this season can be pivotal for. I mean, a lot of the positions are going to be rediscussed this summer, next summer. I mean, you have Rui Patricio entering his final months of the contract. You have Spinazzola entering the final months of the contract. You get exactly Zaleski with a big question mark. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out throughout the remainder of the season. And guys, let's remember, we are in November. We just opened up November. So I know time flies by, but still. Lukaku scores and it's game over in 5 minutes. Kumbulla needs playing time when he's fit. Even if he's not part of the plan, he needs to get playing time. And I don't think he's going to struggle getting playing time. Kumbulla, let's remember, should be coming back within the end of December. Roma are planning to integrate Kumbulla with the Primavera team first to see how he reacts on the pitch. And then if he responds well enough, he should be back with the first team in January. That's the idea. And Evan Dika will be leaving for the AF Con for in January, and could be gone for up to 6 weeks. And then we have the big question mark of Chris Smalling. So I don't think Marash Kumbulla and his potential lack of minutes is going to be a problem. If he's fit, he's going to get his chance, definitely. Mourinho needs all the defenders he can get. Azmoun is very fast in deciding what to do with the ball. We also need the quality in the midfield, says Oleg. Too often the midfielders are languid with the ball, delayed passes, keeping the ball for too long. Yes, and that's why you need somebody like Renato Sanchez at the top of his game. Renato Sanchez does that. Renato Sanchez is a box-to-box midfielder with pace, with technical ability, with an outside shot. That's what he does. He's got the dribbling. He's got it all down pat. What he lacks is confidence. And that is more detrimental than the lack of quality for a player. Like it's a guy like Brian Cristante. Again, you can shit on him all you want, but the guy has confidence. He may lack the quality, he may not be the fancy kind of player that you like watching on a Sunday evening, but he's got the confidence. Last year was Ibanez tax. Well, yes, last year we had Ibanez as a scapegoat. Hello from India. Thank you, Punan, for following us so late over there. Thank you for taking the time out of your sleep schedule to be here with me. Hi, Andy. I couldn't watch the game, says Mazin, our good patron, but Forza Roma 3 points is what matters at the end. No asterisks in the history book. It doesn't mean that this is, a performance that we can, sweep under the rug and pretend like it was all peachy. It was not peachy. It was still a performance that showed some glaring problems with how the team moves on the pitch. But the way you turned it around can be so beneficial if Roma learn how to approach these things, if Roma learn how to learn their learning process. If Roma can go into the video room and analyze this adequately and take the good things and the bad, I really think that's all it takes for them to really compete with the team that actually compete for top four. Because so far, Roma have shown the same things to me as Fiorentina, Atalanta, Lazio. So the teams that are aiming for Europe, not Champions League, for Europe. What I want to see from Roma is that mentality of, say, Inter, who go down against Bologna and then have the awareness that they are better than others. And so against Lecce, Roma turn it around because in the final minutes of the game, they're like, what the hell? What the hell? It didn't sit right with them. They couldn't go down to Lecce. It's Lecce after all, for Christ's sakes. We're Roma. We're playing at our own house. We got a sold-out stadium that is chanting and cheering us on from the first minute to the very last. December will be a tough month, says Roma supporter. We can't let Roma ruin Christmas, but I know how they affect us all. We expect a lot, and ends in disaster. I'm just going to mention you the classic. The classic when Roma beat Atalanta in Mourinho's first season of the club. They beat Atalanta in Bergamo 4-1. Ecstatic. Magnificent. It was the first time we had won in Bergamo in such a long time. It was beautiful. The day before Christmas, what do? They draw against one of the worst Sampdoria sides you can possibly imagine in their own home. I just remember that game so well because I remember tuning in with John, recording that episode. I was dressed up. I had my shirt on, my tie. I was ready because in Poland, we where I go for Christmas, we celebrate Christmas Eve. I was ready. I was really enjoying myself. I was getting to go and have the big Christmas Eve dinner. And instead, I had to comment on what Roma did against Sampdoria. And that was really unfortunate. So, guys, again, yes, don't put all your hopes on Roma for Christmas. Get some nice presents. I am used to suffering as a Roma fan. After all, my first game I watched them play was 1984 European Cup final, televised on late night Chicago cable access back in the day. That's hilarious, man. I mean, I'm sorry for you, but that's a great story. That's kind of like one of my earliest memories as a Roma fan is seeing them get beat by Manchester United 7-1. I just remember crying so much. But that's what they do to you. Where the hell does this leave us? The circus continues. Yes, that's the whole point of tonight. We are ecstatic, we are happy, but at the same time, we're not really sure. Because as I see a lot of you guys feel the same way as I do, the big question is, what the hell happened for those 88 minutes? What the team was up to? What happened? What made them play the way they did? Despite some misses, despite some bad luck, despite the missed penalty, sure, still, it wasn't enough. So what the hell happened? And then you have that reaction, which it seems like it wants to erase everything that was bad. And that's why I think it's so important, not only for us fans to question these things, but also for the team to really get a good look at what they haven't gotten right so far. And there is a lot. But also, what is it? What made them change the outcome of the game? Because it was far from easy, far from guaranteed for this team to make that turnaround. Not a great performance all around, says Schweib, and from Mourinho as well. His subs as of late have been game changing, so fair enough. Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the substitutions have been usually players who want more minutes. Sardar Azmoun is dying to start. Same thing with Belotti. He's dying to start. So when you have that hunger, It's different. Think about how Riccardo came on against Sassuolo a year ago. Remember when Roma are up in Reggio Emilia against Sassuolo, he comes on. There's no hunger. There is no effort. You lose because of that. Today, the substitutions responded well. It responded with energy. That's what you need when you have players coming off the bench. Still struggling to release and feed Lukaku. Dybala can't link up with the way he wants to play. Shows lack of quality, but that's the way it is. Mourinho doing best what he has at his disposal. We can argue, we can debate, we can say Lukaku should be playing with Belotti, and sure, but these are things that need to be addressed by the team, and I think they will ultimately. If you're not getting the answers you need from, obviously, a player like Dybala, Mourinho said it himself today, he's too important. You can't bench him. So Dybala plays regardless. You can only decide whether he plays a little further back or up front with Lukaku. Would have been both poetic and soul-destroying if we lost today after Mourinho's recent comments about injuries, considering that Dybala and Renato Sanchez played. Well, yes, but also consider the condition that they were in. We need Sanchez to become Sanchez. Bove, well, the question is, who is Sanchez right now in 2023, Unfortunately, he's not shown the signs of being the Sanchez that we had at Lille. If we lost, we need Sanchez to become Sanchez. Bove as a starter isn't class enough. He's too clumsy on the ball. I agree there. Bove has a lot of things going well for him. He's a dog. Bove is a dog. He's aggressive. He doesn't let up. He is all over the pitch. He's all over the opponent, but he struggles. When he has the ball at his feet, he is, yes, clumsy. He rushes. He's not careful enough. His decision-making still needs some work, and that's normal. He's 21 years old. He's working also on a renewal. Roma should be getting ready to extend his contract until 2028 in the coming weeks. But I do agree that you need quality in the midfield. Bove is good for a certain kind of games. You cannot expect him to be the guy who builds from the back. You cannot expect him to be the replacement for Nemanja Matic in terms of build-up. I agree. You need Renato Sanchez for his quality, for his, for his shooting ability, for the way he drives the ball forward, for his physicality. You need that. Anthony Taylor relegated to the English second tier after poor refereeing decisions. Surprise, surprise. I know God has a plan for Palomino. Well, Palomino is constantly injured on and off. So I think whatever deity looks over football, they have a plan for Palomino. Andy, I'm just saying, says Oleg, check out 85th and 89th minute of the game and Zaleski's role in Lecce, two good chances. I will. Thank you, Oleg. I absolutely will. And I agree. I mean, Zaleski is, again, is far from my first choice for a left back. And I said it multiple times. But what can you do? The important thing is Zaleski gets a good cross today. Sardar Azmoun scores. Roma equalize. And then Romelu Lukaku takes it from there, takes it upon himself to score the winning goal. And that's all you really need. So Roma hopefully will have the chance to perhaps increase Renato Sanchez's minutes in the Europa League against Slavia Praha. They want to finish first in the group. They only need 1 point to do it. Paulo Dybala will travel with the team as announced by Mourinho, although again, expect him to be on the bench. He played 96 minutes today after missing over a month with injury. So take it easy on the guy. And then we have Lorenzo Pellegrini potentially coming back for the derby. Like that was the whole plan. So Pellegrini, hopefully a good week for him. He gets his third child. Pellegrini is trying to replicate what John is doing. God, I'm taking that too far, but that's Pellegrini welcomed his third child, and now hopefully he can get back into Roma's lineup and have an impact on the team going into the derby. So even today, Evan Ndika, when he was asked who's the leader in the team, Ndika said three names. He said Mourinho. He said Lorenzo Pellegrini and Romelu Lukaku, and then obviously some others. But those are the three names they said. So don't underestimate Lorenzo Pellegrini's absence. Lorenzo Pellegrini, you like him or not, his role in the team is still very important. Has Azmoun over Azmoun overtaken Belotti as next best off the bench? He needs to get more starting opportunities. I think both deserve so it will be an interesting battle. I don't want Belotti to just disappear. I still think this guy is it can be, he's a good soldier. He's a good soldier, Belotti, and Mourinho knows it. And I think Mourinho is happy to have these two options off the bench. So Mourinho is happy. Like, regardless of his comments leading up to this match were directed at the club, the way the club has handled some public relations matter with the Lega Calcio. Okay. But overall, with the group, with the team at his disposal, Mourinho loves them. Look at how he greets all the players at the bench. Look at how he goes over to Lukaku when at the end of the match, he's there. The man, whatever questions we may have with regards to his future at the club, he is happy here. He's happy with this batch of players. Extremely spicy take, but play a back four with Belotti, right winger, could play a Pandev, Ito role, still getting well. If there is a player that could do that, I can't imagine Belotti playing, because the guy has so much self-sacrifice that it's unbelievable. Would you take Lukaku for Abraham? Well, considering that Abraham is a big question mark after a really serious injury, although I love Tammy, and would really break my heart to just, and I think, because I think he was so important for us that first year where we win the Conference League, so important, such a wonderful impact that it would be a shame to see him just walk out like he's some regular Joe, because he isn't. Imagine we had Tammy and Elder today on the field instead of Azmoun and Lukaku. Yes, that tells you that's last season. That's last season. I don't have to imagine it. I know how it played out. Are we really surprised that guy with not a defender makes mistakes in defense? Oh, the guy who's not a defender makes mistakes in defense. Who are we referring to? Is it Zaleski? Because if so, yes, absolutely. He's not a defender. We don't know what he is. But again, take it easy. He's a kid. So let's see. Let's see what Roma have in store. That's the rule. Roma need everybody. So I know we like to criticize. I know we like to get on players' backs, but the fundamental thing about this team is that they need every single name on the roster. Like it or not, whether it's Pagano, whether it's Azmoun, whether it's Christensen, each player can contribute. That's the whole thing. That's the whole damn thing about this. You may not like it. You may not enjoy it. You may be unhappy with the quality, but Mourinho is fully aware of it. And he shows it time and time again in his press conferences, media appearances. He knows what he's working with, and yet he still embraces it. Why won't Roma take the Gea instead of Rui Patricio? I don't think they want to go into that direction. Roma, I think they will want to revolutionize a bit the team in terms of age. So if possible, I think with the goalkeeper especially, they will want to go for a younger profile. I don't think the Gea fits the bill for that. So, guys, I think this was wonderful. We haven't had so much engagement in a long time. We had basically up to 80 people today watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't liked the video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed, this is the Roma Press channel. This is where we do regular live streams before and after games. This is where we drop the video version of the podcast. This is where you can find all these things. If you subscribe, if you want to get notified, you can do so. We have social media. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. We're all there. We're always called as Roma Press. And if you like the show, if you like the website, if you like what we do, please consider becoming a patron and supporting us by going to patreon.com/Roma Press. You can select any plan you want, and you can get some really cool benefits from it, and it helps the show go on. And I really appreciate all the support. These live streams have been incredible because I love interacting with you guys, and we have over 1,000 subscribers in 2 months. I'm really, really happy. We have final questions for today's live stream. Is Leonardo Spinazzola really coming? I don't know if he's coming back. He should. Mourinho said he should be back for the derby. Llorente, way too soft. Will he ever start as our main center back for other top teams? No. That's your answer right there. The guy was a backup at Leeds United, so you should be actually happy with the fact that he's been able to, most of all, keep the ship steady in Chris Smalling's absence. So we got Okay, we got the final comments, and I want to wish everybody a nice evening, a good night, a nice rest of the day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. The podcast that we recorded prior to this live stream will drop tomorrow on all the platforms where you find your podcasts, and also here on YouTube. So if you haven't, subscribe, and see you next time after Roma face Slavia Praha. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time, Forza Roma.